Oh, that's right. We will never give up.
Never give up, never surrender. Never give up, never surrender.
Ah, that's right. Never give up, never surrender. No matter how tired the weary get, the weary must go on. And I tell you what, I quite frankly am a little weary. I've already had one interview this morning. We have a really big packed show for you. I've already interviewed Representative Ralph Norman, and a little later in the show we will play that interview. Then we have Live with Alan Wilson, Attorney General Alan Wilson. Of course, we're going to talk about the big story right here before he comes on the air, and we'll probably touch on it, although this is all about running the race for the governor for the great state of South Carolina. So we'll be talking about that with Alan Wilson. And then our third interview this morning, I can't believe I have all this going on, will be Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette. So we have three of the 5 candidates that are running. What are we, down to 4? I believe Josh Kimbrell dropped out yesterday late afternoon. He dropped out. He suspended his campaign. He is, although he will be on the ballot, he is not running for the office. I think he just ran out of gas. Of course, he didn't make it into the last debate. Oh, we have Nancy Mace. I forgot. So we had 6. Okay, so we're down to 5. So we've got 3 of those candidates that will be joining us this morning. I hope you'll be able to stay with me. This show is going to be a little longer. We're probably going to go to around 11 o'clock this morning. So stay tuned. Buckle up. We got a lot to talk about. All right, though. First up, though, Penny has not gotten up yet. She says, "You're insane, lady." She goes, "I'm sleeping in this morning." So first up, let's go ahead and do the weather report right here for you, so you'll know what the weather's going to be. It's also a big day. This, of course, is really the kickoff to the Festival of Flowers. So a big weekend right here in Greenwood. But let's see what the weather's going to be, just so I believe it's going to be good, but let's know. Right now, it is a great 67 degrees out here in Greenwood. We are looking for plentiful sunshine, high around 85 degrees. So it's going to be a great day for the... Okay, all right. It's going to be a great day for being outside doing fun things. So, what do I have here to talk about? Already got some questions coming in on Facebook Live. If you have a question or a comment here this morning, you can go right there to our Facebook page, WCRS Radio on Facebook. Of course, you can always use our call or text line 864-332-9355. That's 864-332-9355. That is what we'll be working with here this morning for ways for you to communicate. And of course, you know I love to get your comments. But so the weather today is great. How about for tomorrow? It's going to be great. High of 88, low of 62, plentiful sunshine. Saturday comes in a little bit warmer, not much, 89 degrees, low of 65. Sunday is a ditto day, and Monday is a ditto day, maybe a chance of a shower. But we'll make it through the weekend with some beautiful weather for the Festival of Flowers, and I hope you will take advantage of all the things that are going on with the Festival of Flowers. You know, we have the Beach Blast coming up at 5:30 today. We've got the museum's new Road to the Revolution opening up today, opening with our opening reception. That'll be at 5 o'clock today. The Art Center has their student student art exhibit opening today. So as I said, there is a lot going on today. So get out there and enjoy it. Topiaries, everything is happening. And of course, this afternoon, just to round out my day. So I make sure I do enough interviews at 4 o'clock, not 5 o'clock today. We'll be interviewing Lindsay and Glenda for the chairs of the Festival of Flowers. So I'm busy. But let's talk about what just came down from the Attorney General's office, Alan Wilson. As I said, we will be talking to Alan Wilson, supposed to be talking to him about 10:15, and then following it up with Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette at 10:30. Everybody was abuzz here in Greenwood and Abbeville when people started seeing ICE agents, etc., rolling into town yesterday, rolling into actually Abbeville. They had a staging area. People were running around going, "What is happening?" And they were really very closed-mouthed about it. We didn't really get a lot of details, but here is what I can tell you this morning. This is an official news release from Alan Wilson's office. Alan Wilson announces a multi-jurisdictional law enforcement operation resulting in 48 illegal immigrants detained and 6 defendants indicted for use of fraudulent identity documents. South Carolina Alan Wilson announced today that the South Carolina State Grand Jury has issued 6 indictments in an investigation known as Ghost Story. To date, 6 defendants have been indicted on illegal immigration and identity theft charges following an investigation that began in the fall of 2024 with cooperation from state, federal, and local law enforcement agencies in South Carolina. A multi-jurisdictional law enforcement operation was conducted on Wednesday, that was yesterday, June 3rd, at South Carolina business Bernstein Von Seelen Precision Casting in Abbeville. 2 managers were arrested on their state grand jury charges, and 48 workers at the business were detained by ICE for immigration violations. Alan Wilson said, if you are unlawfully aiding illegal immigrants in South Carolina, you are going to be investigated and will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. If you are taking advantage of hardworking Americans, stealing their identities, you are intentionally ignoring your responsibilities as an employer in an effort to circumvent the law. We are coming for you. These crimes are not only stealing jobs from American employees, but also pose a serious risk to national security. When criminals make it easy for illegal aliens to get fake identification documents, we don't know who is working in our country, and this operation specifically our national security and manufacturing sectors. The state grand jury's indictments reflect an investigation into the extensive problem of how easily illegal immigrants in South Carolina can get fake U.S. and state identification from document vendors throughout the state. It also reflects allegations that a business in South Carolina knowingly facilitated the use of fraudulent identification by illegal immigrants they employed. The indictments allege that 2 managers of Bernstein Von Seelen Precision Casting, Christopher Douglas Ramey and Sandy Lynn Willis, violated their legal obligations to verify the legitimacies of IDs before hiring employees and facilitated the use of forged identity documents by illegal immigrants at the business. The remaining defendants were allegedly document vendors who obtained forged state driver's license, USA Social Security cards, or other fake identification for illegal immigrant use. These fake identification cards included the use of the dates of birth and social security numbers of actual United States citizens. It goes on to say that this investigation, of course, is ongoing and certain aspect of the investigation remains sealed. South Carolina Law Enforcement Division Chief Mark Keel said, "This raid is the direct result of an exhaustive, years-long investigation. It should serve as a deterrent to anyone who participates in illegal employment. Employers who knowingly and willfully hire illegal labor must be held accountable. Employees who provide fraudulent documents in order to gain employment will be brought to justice." Mark Keel said, "I want to be clear, illegal employment schemes will not be tolerated in South Carolina. This case would not be possible without our local, state, and federal law enforcement partners." This is wild. And this was here, right over there in Abbeville. So it is interesting, the timing of this all coming together. But this is wild. And this is something that I think a lot of us have known about, the fact that these type of things happen. We know about it in the... We've heard a lot about it in the SNAP benefits, all these things going on in other states. Little did we know that it was going on right here in South Carolina and right up the street from us in Abbeville. It says this news release says the crimes uncovered in Operation Ghost Story are not victimless. When illegal aliens use stolen identities and forged documents, they victimize law-abiding citizens whose personal information is misused and undermine the security of our communities. These actions also enable businesses to profit from illegal labor at the expense of honest workers and employers, said Mark M. Zito, Special Agent in charge of Homeland Security Investigations in North and South Carolina. He said HSI is committed to working with our partners to aggressively investigate and dismantle these criminal operations, protect victims, and hold offenders fully accountable. This is wild. This is wild. So anyways, they have a whole list of Eighth Circuit solicitors. David Stumbo said this is a great example of seamless coordination between multiple law enforcement agencies working shoulder to shoulder with prosecutors to finally hold accountable those who are facilitating and insulating criminal migration into our country. David Stumbo said, "My office will continue to fight the scourge of illegal immigration and, most importantly, call our enablers of those entering and remaining in our country illegally. I welcome migration into our country, but it must be done the right way." So then there is a whole list of people that have been arrested. I'm actually not going to go through and read those, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is there more? I think there's supposed to be 6. Yes, 6 of them. It says the case was investigated by the South Carolina State Grand Jury, which was assisted in this case by a partnership of the Attorney General's State Grand Jury, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division of SLED, and the Department of Homeland Security Investigations, Greenwood County Sheriff's Office, the Newberry County Sheriff's Office, the Greenwood County Sheriff's Office. Why don't we just ask who wasn't involved? The cases will be prosecuted by the State Grand Jury Division Chief Attorney Creighton Waters and Assistant Deputy Attorney General David Fernandez. Attorney General Wilson stressed that all defendants are presumed innocent unless and until they are proven guilty in a court of law. So what do you think about this morning? Yesterday, we were all wondering what was going on. And now Now here we are, and we find out that this is something they've been working on since 2024. That is pretty darn amazing, folks. So we will have the opportunity coming up in about 25 minutes, I think. We will have Attorney General Alan Wilson on. That would be, of course, talking with his official hat as the state's attorney. He also, of course, is running for governor, and he will take off that hat, I guess, and then become a candidate, Alan Wilson, and we're going to talk with him about some questions that I have for him as we take it down. There is, there's today, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 6 days to Election Day, folks. Have you voted? Have you already made up your mind? Are you looking to make up your mind? That is the question. Are you still trying to research and find out? You have today and tomorrow to early vote at the library. Of note, they are closing at 5 o'clock at the library for early voting. You can also vote in 96 at the Visitor Center. Early voting, though, ends at 5 o'clock, and some people have been surprised, thought it would be open till 6. So that is something to consider if you make up your mind. I hope these interviews might help you make up your mind on who you want to vote for. But you have till 5 o'clock today, 5 o'clock tomorrow. No voting on Monday, and then Tuesday all day again at the same places, the library and at the Visitor Center in 96. And I'm pretty sure there's some other locations too. Maybe not in Greenwood in 96, though. But those are the questions before the board here. So without further ado, so that I can get all this in here this morning, we're going to hear the interview I did with Ralph Norman this morning. When we come back, we'll have a few minutes to discuss that interview, and then we'll get ready for Alan Wilson. So yes, we need to be playing that interview, Ann. So I am going to put the telephone up there, number 3. Is that the right one? Yes. And we are going to play that interview for you right now. When I come back, we'll take a quick commercial break and be ready to roll on with this this show today, testing my talents right here on WCRS. So let's just waiting for everything to catch up with me here this morning. Let's go ahead and cue the interview. I'll be back. It's about 15 minutes long, so take it away. All right. I am here today with Congressman Ralph Norman, who wants to be the next governor for the great state of South Carolina. So, Ralph, I just want to ask you, I know you've answered this 100 times. Why leave Congress and run for governor?
South Carolina needs a real leader with a background and with the core values that will face the challenges. I see the number of people that are coming into South Carolina from other states, and we've got to protect it, and I don't see that being done right now.
Okay, and so what convinced you? Is that what convinced you that it was the right time?
Well, the main thing that I saw is we're making a commitment, and all governors, you run on 4-year terms, and some have limits, but it's an 8-year commitment. And when I saw the ones who were running, I said, no, I've got to get involved in this. And I'm giving up a perfectly safe House seat and willing to do that and get back to South Carolina.
Okay. So if elected governor, or maybe I should say when you're elected governor, what happens on day one of your administration?
What happens on day one is I will implement a forensic audit of every agency of government. Whether you're a business or have a family budget, you got to know where your money is. I will do that. The corruption, the waste, fraud, and abuse is real in South Carolina. I'm going to identify it, and we will deal with it. The other things, my core principles that I've campaigned on that I will put forward, in business, if somebody doesn't do the job, you can fire them. In politics, they tend to linger on. I will have a bill with term limits. I will implement fix our roads and bridges that are totally dilapidated, which should never have happened. I'll implement a bill to change the way we elect our judges, to have lawyers who they appear before pick judges is a conflict of interest. That's just the beginning of it.
What issue do you think needs the most immediate attention? What thing can you reach out and say, got to get this out of the way now?
Well, affordability is huge in South Carolina. People can't afford a house. They can't afford gas prices. They can't afford really every core dollar that's spent is just people can't afford. Now, the way you do that is the spending in South Carolina is out of control. Budgets the last 10 years has doubled. And we're just going to focus on the primary things that matter, that people use every day, which start with roads and bridges. It starts with our education system. And you got to take that seriously, and I will do that. And I have made a commitment, too, that we'll not have another shutdown as happened when COVID came. I stood with the frontline doctors. I'll lay out the fact that there will be no shutdowns in South Carolina, and there will be a firm accountability.
All right. Well, you selected Andy Morgan as your lieutenant governor running mate. What does that choice tell the voters about a Norman administration, how you would govern?
What it tells South Carolinians is I picked somebody who is in line with me philosophically. We're both Christians. We both have a sense of service to make a difference in this state. And this will be the most conservative ticket that I think South Carolina has ever had. And Adam, when he says something, he means it. And the same thing with me. When I say something, I mean it. And I will implement everything I'm saying. And is it going to be easy? No. But if it were easy, everybody would be doing it. But I'm tired of people who campaign on conservatism as Republicans, on less reductions in taxes, less reductions in regulations. They don't do it. We're going to change that when I become governor.
Well, I think it would be a good thing if we could do some of these things. Absolutely. So, South Carolina is growing very rapidly. We're seeing major economic development projects, housing growth, and data center proposals. How do we, in fact, right here in Greenwood, we have been having a big back and forth with our county government about data centers. How do we balance economic growth with quality of life and local control?
You take out the politics and crony capitalism. Scout Motors being front and center stage. They gave the state away to the tune of $1.4 billion. A company that does not identify with our values. They're moved their headquarters to Charlotte, and that's not going to happen with me. We're going to be selective of who comes in this state. We're not going to give it away. And data centers, from what I'm hearing, particularly lately, it's a tremendous strain on our electrical grid, our water, and the people are doing exactly what's right, and to get involved with their planning commission, city council, county council, and stop it until you get a handle on what effect it has on the environment and what it has on adjacent property values. I would make the argument that we've got to stop it until we get a control and get a handle on what it does.
So, would you be in favor of a moratorium, even a statewide moratorium?
I'm not. The government should not stop private property owners who have deeds to the property from doing what they want. Now, what I will do is educate and use my voice and through going to the bully pulpit and saying, these are the problems Greenwood would have, as an example, with the data center, and urge them to not issue any more permits until you know everything that you're dealing with. But I will do this across the board with any company coming in. It's got to fit South Carolina. And why do I want to clog the streets up further? Why do I want to make the interstates where they're basically impassable in our parking lots? I'm just not going to do that.
Okay, well, you kind of touched on this earlier. South Carolina's budget continues to grow. Where are taxpayers not getting a good return on their investment?
They're not getting a good return on investment with the results of education. They're not getting a return on investment to the money that's, again, gone to woke companies coming in here that politicians are making for whatever reason. That's going to stop. And I tell you, the issues like gambling is going to be before the General Assembly. And you've got other candidates, and namely the other three, Romney and Alan Wilson and Pamela Evette, who are taking gambling money, and they will go along with the casino. I will not. That's a big distinction. That's a tax increase that the public shouldn't have to bear with gambling. And also our electric grid, we've got to get a firm handle on how we're going to provide electricity to the citizens, and with no rate increases. They ought to be reduced. And I will advocate for that every day that I serve as governor.
Do you think, what are you thinking? More nuclear, or what type of power are you thinking about?
Well, first of all, yes, I'm in favor of nuclear and fossil fuels, but we've got to get a handle on the $9 billion debt that Santee Cooper has, that the only way I know they can pay it back in their own admission is pass it on to the ratepayers. That's not fair. That ought to be cut. Insurance with the people coming into South Carolina, if you have more people using the product, prices should come down. They're not selling it at a loss, but they've got to own up to how they're going to handle it, and how they're going to stop the brownouts that are coming to South Carolina this summer. And and it's like roads and bridges and our air and water and electricity is something that the average person cannot provide by themselves. That's government role.
Exactly. Okay, well, I know we don't have a lot of time. I'd love to ask you a lot more questions, but what is one thing you believe the other candidates in the race have wrong about South Carolina's future?
The other candidates are saying the right thing. They've never done it. They've had the opportunity. Ralph Norman has done it, and I will do it when I'm governor.
And is there any particular one? I mean, that's kind of general, Ralph. Do you have any particular avenues that you could tell us? Separates you out?
Yeah, I mean, around election time, they're all talking like the correct way we elect our judges. Where have they been? Where's Alan Wilson been for 16 years? Where's Pamela Evette been in her role as a lieutenant governor for 8 years? They haven't. And I've done it. I've built roads and bridges, and I've advocated on the budget committee at the federal level for severe cuts, and we will do that. That's what separates me from all the other candidates.
Okay, all right. So after we discuss all this, I have one question that isn't on my list here, but the insurance rates here in South Carolina, I guess across the country, but I'm not really familiar. What can we do about the insurance rates? Our legislators here keep saying there's nothing we can do, and what can we do? Is there anything we can do?
Absolutely. The ask any restaurant, any that particularly serves alcohol, the insurance rates that they're paying because of legislation that allows a lawyer to sue not just one restaurant, but 2 or 3 others where people may have had one drink, but they didn't get intoxicated. That's one thing we will change, the joint and several. The other thing we will change is a loser pays system. These lawyers who are basically suing the insurance companies, guess who's paying the rates? The public. That's not right. There has been one decrease in insurance costs to anybody in South Carolina, and that's going to change under our plan.
I thought they had worked on it, but I'm not sure that. And we've seen rates, whether it's car insurance, home insurance, property insurance, all these insurance things just seem out of control. But so do you have any other comment about that? And then I'm going to ask you my last question here because I know you got to get on the road.
Well, yeah, I mean, the reason the rates are like they are is because insurance companies won't fight. They think in a lot of cases, the cost of litigation is more than the claims. And the insurance company is just passing it on. That's got to stop. You've got to have we've got to have some loser pays where you file a frivolous lawsuit that, you're going to have to put something up, and the companies are not going to be able just to write a letter and have insurance companies fold because they know the customers will pay for it. And we got to change and codify the way that lawyers are able to do that. And they've attempted to pass one, but it's all smoke and mirrors. It doesn't get the job done.
And you will get it done?
What I promise to do is put it in form of a bill that I will go to the bully pulpit. I will put it online. I will say, here's what we want to do. And I'll go to every city, county, and say, this is why we need to get it done. You need to put pressure on your legislator, whether they're a Republican or a Democrat, and let's make something happen, because the ratepayers in South Carolina cannot take any more increases. And particularly with the new ones coming in to South Carolina, every one person that leaves, we have two people coming in. And we've got to have an affordable South Carolina. That's not happening now.
All right, in the final 2 minutes, I would like to give you the opportunity to tell the voters whatever you would like, why you're running, why they should support your campaign, how they can learn about your campaign, and any contact information you'd like to give them.
The reason I'm the best one to be the CEO for the next 4 years and possibly 8 years is I'm not a lawyer. Had a 40-year career in the real estate arena. I'm not a career politician. I'm giving up a perfectly safe seat in Congress, as I did when I ran in 2017. I gave it up. I could have kept it as a safety valve if I didn't win, but I did not do that. Everybody else in this race is just talking about it, what they're going to do. And what I would ask the voters, how long are you going to put up with roads that are deteriorating? How long are you going to put up with insurance roads? How long are you going to let legislators put gambling in this state? Why, if you pick somebody to lead your company, would you let somebody who has no record of doing anything that they're saying? I'm the only one that's got a record. None of the others can say that. And the way you can find me is RalphNormanForGovernor.com.
Ralph Norman, in the last few days of this race, I wish you Godspeed. You're going to need it.
Well, we all are, and I just appreciate the opportunity to serve and the opportunity to go before the people in South Carolina and make the case.
Have a great day. Thank you so much, Ralph. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm John McCravey. I've stood for our Christian conservative values, pushed back against the wasteful spending in Columbia, and fought for local issues that impact our community. In the process, I've offended some politicians in Columbia. Guess what? I really don't care. Whether it's protecting Lake Greenwood or simply being available when you need help, I've always believed in being responsive to the people I serve. If you need me, you can call me directly at 864-396-3110. I'm John McCravey. I paid for this message.
Lindsey Graham wants to steal your Social Security. He wants to cut your benefits and raise the retirement age to 70, which is our average lifetime expectancy. My name is Mark Lynch. I'm running for the United States Senate against Lindsey Graham to save your Social Security and protect what you've paid into all these years. I've grown my company over 35 times in the last 40 years, debt-free, and I want to take that experience to Washington to help South Carolinians. In D.C., we'll stop spending, we'll cut the budget, and we'll end this out-of-control inflation. And most of all, we'll protect our seniors' Social Security benefits. Lindsey Graham's legacy is one of putting South Carolinians' interests last. I'm Mark Lynch. Vote for me June 9th to save Social Security for our seniors, rebuild our infrastructure, and build a better future for South Carolinians.
Paid for and authorized by Lynch for Senate.
Hi, this is Brantley with Greenwood Chick-fil-A. Nominate your office, teachers, church group, or team for breakfast for a bunch with WCRS. We love surprising and delighting our Greenwood community. Call or text 864-332-9355. It would be our pleasure. Call or text 864-332-9355 for breakfast for a bunch with WCRS.
Oh, that's right. We're right back here on WCRS. And yes, I am alive here this morning. We have Penny with us here this morning. She's bored, but this is pretty exciting. We do have Alan Wilson coming up in just a moment right here on WCRS Radio. Looking for him to call, probably in about another minute. So, weather is beautiful, lots of activities. It is Festival of Flowers, Beach Blast at 5:30 today. Swinging Medallions, Rhonda McDaniel. The museum is having their opening for an exhibit, Don't Miss exhibit, The Road to the Revolution, right here at the Greenwood Museum. They're having an opening reception today, as is there a reception over at the Art Center. Both of those, start at 5 o'clock. So you want to check out all of these things. Take advantage of all the things going on right here in Greenwood. And as I always like to say, if you've got family or friends that should be visiting, you owe them to come to town and see you. This weekend would be a great weekend to have them here. So look at doing that, from the garden symposium to the gardens, the beautiful garden tours that you can go on, to music and wine walks. We got it all going on this weekend right here in Greenwood. So that's what we've got going on. I hate to start down another topic here because just as sure as I do, Alan Wilson will call. So we're going to kind of hold at this position right here. I tell you what, yesterday I thought the weather was just fabulous out there. Wish I'd had opportunity to work in my garden, but had to get everything ready for today, so didn't have much opportunity there. But I am looking forward to going to a lot of the events with the Festival of Flowers this weekend, and then to take some time, maybe get to work in my little garden area back there, and spend some time with Penny. Penny is getting spiffed this weekend, so she looks particularly cute for the weekend, going for the Festival of Flowers. So that's what I got. Let's see what time is it? It is 10:15. Is Alan Wilson going to be on the line? I I tried to make sure. I called last night when I heard this was going on this morning, and I said, we still going to be good? And they told me, yes, we're going to be good. So let's see. Let's check. Is he calling? Let's try that right now. Yes. Is he calling? You know, when you do all this stuff yourself, this is not an easy job. But I do attempt to do it all right here for you, right here on WCRS. So we'll see if we get a message back from him, or are we going to have to not have him on this morning? I really hope we do, because this story that is breaking over there in Abbeville with the arrest going on, what was it called, ghost story, that they've had going on since 2024. You know, that just goes to the point of how much it takes to get to bring a case to fruition. You know, we always think because when you see a TV show or something that it all happens in about an hour. But some of these cases, as in this case, he should be. That's what I hear. He should be calling. Okay, well, so far he hasn't. Okay. We always think it's going to take about, an hour or so to forensically deal with a case. And we certainly hope that it's not as difficult, but it is difficult. It is difficult to do these things. Hey, I just had a message come in. Post-20 baseball tonight. Festivities start at 5. Game time is 7:30. And that is, correct me if I'm wrong, Ty, I believe that is a Festival of Flowers sanctioned event. It is a sanctioned event. So that is a good thing. That is a very good thing. Let me see if we can find out where Alan is. Is he yeah, I hope he is hope he's going to be calling in. He has not so far. He has not so far. Can you check? Can you check? Oh, let's see. Maybe we should take another commercial break, but we're going to... Can you check? Okay. Yeah, because we've got Pamela Evette coming up at 10:30, and I did want to have this opportunity to... I've got some questions, of course, for Alan, and, of course, I also want to give him some opportunity to be able to talk a little bit about this... this bust, as we should call it, right here over here in Abbeville. You know what I think is interesting is that this was going on yesterday, and there was not hardly anybody that I could find that was not in official capacity. And I mean, because officials, they're not going to tell you anything. But usually you can go through the grapevine and find something out, and you could not find out what was going on. But from what I understand is when they went in there, they took everybody out and then started and did zip ties is what I was told, and then took the opportunity to let certain ones go as I guess they verified them and let them go. So this operation was a big operation. It's been happening in Abbeville since 2024. Lots of law enforcement agencies, pulling together to make this happen. Well, I tell you what I'm going to do. Okay, I tell you what I'm going to do. American Legion Baseball just told me, okay, they say he should be doing it now. Okay, Alan, come in on the Zoom call, Alan. I'm ready for you. But anyways, Ty said that it is a sanctioned event tonight with Post-20 baseball. You know, they are really having a good time. They've spruced up the field out there. If you're looking for some good, wholesome American entertainment, hold on just a second. I'm going to have to just Put me on hold. All right. Well, Alan says he's having a problem getting in, but according to what I am showing, we should be good to go. God, I hate when this happens. I hate when this happens. So, let me see. If he cannot, we're going to try doing it a different way. I don't know why we're not getting in there. Let's see. Oh, there he is. Okay, there he is. Excellent. Oh, we are going to let Alan in. All right,
Hello?
Alan. Oh, yes, Alan, are you there?
Yes. All right. Technical difficulties.
Okay, all right. Well, I know you've had a busy morning here today. We don't have a lot of time to talk, but give us the nutshell version of what happened here this morning over there in Abbeville.
My office was involved in a multi-jurisdictional, multi-year sting operation that resulted in the apprehension and detention of 48 illegal aliens, as well as 2 company employees who were involved in the knowing hiring of illegal aliens and the use of illegal false documents. And then we also arrested 4 people who were running a document scam operation where they would steal people's identities and then use those documents to give to illegal aliens so they could get employment.
Yes, I did go over your press release this morning. I just, that was quite an operation. And what I read, that's been going on since 2024. I think that a lot of people don't realize how long it takes to do something like this, Alan.
Yes, ma'am. It was multiple jurisdictions. It was local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies. And again, this is an ongoing operation, so we expect more to come out of it.
Wow. Well, let's take off your Attorney General hat and let's put on your I'm running for governor for the great state of South Carolina hat. How about that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So you've served as South Carolina Attorney General for many years. Why is now the right time to seek the governor's office?
Well, first off, over the last 15 years, Ann, I have done a lot for the state of South Carolina. I've overseen the prosecution of thousands of violent criminals, drug traffickers, child predators, corrupt officials. I've been involved in the collection and recovery of over $2 billion in fraud, waste, and abuse on behalf of the state of South Carolina. I've created the State Human Trafficking Task Force and quadrupled the size of the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. I've recovered $700 million for opioid addiction abatement in South Carolina, and I've reformed how how victim services are implemented in South Carolina. 80% of the sheriffs in the state have endorsed me in this race for governor, and what that tells the people listening is that I've got a record of delivering results. You know, when you're in Congress, you can vote the right thing, you can say the right thing, but you don't have to actually deliver results. If you're the lieutenant governor, you can cut ribbons, you can, say that you agree with the governor, but you don't have to actually produce anything. What sets me apart is that I've actually produced results for the people of South Carolina. And so I want to take that same passion and that same effectiveness to the governor's mansion. And I'm a 30-year combat veteran who has led soldiers in combat, and I've actually had to make life and death decisions. And I think your next governor needs to be someone who knows how to command the military and has the courage to lead, which I've demonstrated both on the battlefield and in the courtrooms around this country.
So if elected governor, or when you're elected governor, excuse me, Alan, what happens on day one of an Alan Wilson administration?
Well, we begin implementing our agenda, the agenda that Mike Rickenbaugh, who's my running mate, have decided that we're going to push. We're going to eliminate the income tax. We're going to work to reduce your property taxes. We're going to implement a DOJ system to DOJ fraud, waste, and abuse from government, remove duplicative and burdensome regulations on businesses. We have a plan to increase energy supply, thus lowering your utility rates. We're going to promote a kids first education agenda, and we're going to fix our crumbling roads and bridges. Those are the things that we're going to be fighting for.
Alan, you can't do all of those on the first day. So what's the first thing that you're going to be passionate and say, this is agenda number one? Or do you have one that stands out to you?
No. Well, listen, it's not the first day. It's the day after the election in November. You're going to put together your transition team. That's the first thing I'm going to do. After putting together the transition team, I'm going to meet with the leadership of the legislature. I've already got a bill drafted to eliminate the income tax, and I've got a bill for modernization of the Department of Transportation. We're going to start moving on that.
Okay. That sounds great. That's really what I was asking. So what's the biggest problem that nobody is talking about? What is the biggest challenge facing South Carolina that politicians are not talking about enough?
Honestly, we have a fentanyl crisis in South Carolina. It is in everything. Fentanyl is poured across the border. It's poured into South Carolina, and it's in pills. It's in powders. It's in everything that people are taking. I'm talking to families who are losing loved ones. And so educating people about the fentanyl crisis in South Carolina is something that, there are a lot of other important issues, but this is an issue that not a lot of people are talking about.
Great. Now on to judicial reform. South Carolina's judicial selection process has been debated for years. Should legislators continue electing judges, or should the system be changed? What reforms would you support?
So, Ann, I've been advocating for this for a dozen years, and about 2 years ago, the legislature passed some of my reforms. They did not pass them all. But I believe 100% that the process for selecting judges should be completely under the governor. The governor should select the candidates for judge, and the legislature should vote for them. The House has already passed a bill. The Senate failed to pass it. That takes the Judicial Merit Selection Commission and brings it up under the office of the governor. And meaning all the commission members that vote on the candidates would be appointed by the governor, and all the staff of the JMSC would report to the governor. The legislature would retain the up or down vote, but that bill has already passed one body. But to be honest with you, there's been no leadership in the Senate to push this in the Senate. And as governor, I'm going to focus on those few senators that are preventing this from going into law, and that'll be a big priority in my first year.
Well, that I think would be a good thing, Alan. Government accountability. You've spoken about government waste and inefficiency. Give voters one specific example of something you would reform, reduce, or eliminate.
Well, last year, my office uncovered $20 million in Medicaid fraud at the Department of Health and Human Services. That fraud was really because of a bunch of con artists were exploiting the weakness in the system, and no one inside the system at DHHS was catching it. My office caught the fraud, and we prosecuted it, but the reason the fraud was occurring is because of the personnel over there and the lack of technology to catch these red flags. So the first thing I would want to do is implement updated, innovative technologies like artificial intelligence to help us to identify these red flags before they grow into $20 million price tags on the taxpayer. So modernization of state government services and technology that monitors that stuff would be the first thing I'd invest in.
Great answer. Now on to really, I guess, my last question, since we're going to run out of time. Growth and quality of life. South Carolina continues to experience rapid growth. How do we balance economic development, infrastructure needs, and preserving the quality of life that attracts people here?
Well, first off, you got to have a balanced approach between the urban and the rural areas. People are fleeing from the rural areas because there's no opportunity. There's no opportunity there for them for jobs because there's no infrastructure to support job growth. So where are they fleeing to? They're fleeing to the urban areas, which are doing what? Putting a strain on the infrastructure issues. So we have an issue where the urban areas have become overpopulated, the rural areas have become sparsely populated, and we want to make sure that we spread out economic growth without changing the character of the communities we live in. So I would invest in infrastructure in rural areas as well as in urban areas, and I would have a better working relationships between the State Department of Transportation, the Department of Commerce, as well as local governments. We don't have good relationships between those two. Everyone operates in silos. I would break down the silos and have better cooperative relationships so that we can do better planning from a holistic level at the state level.
Okay, and my absolute last question. What is one thing you believe about South Carolina's future that the other candidates in this race have wrong?
Well, first off, I believe in the people of South Carolina. I can't tell you what the other candidates have wrong, but I can tell you what I have right. The greatest resource in South Carolina are her people. And as I travel the state, I'm more convinced of that of every single day. I believe we're a people who have an independent streak. I believe we're an innovative people. We're an industrious people. We're a hardworking people. But there are areas of South Carolina where people just don't have the same level of opportunity. And I want to do everything I can as governor to fight to make living in our state more affordable for your family, our economy more profitable for your business, and our government more accountable to you. When I give people the power back, then I think we're gonna tap unlimited potential with our workforce in South Carolina.
And now I want to give you 2 minutes here, Alan, to tell the folks how they can get a hold of you, what you'd like them to know about you as we get ready to vote on Tuesday, June 9th.
Well, Ann, thank you so much. I want to say to the people listening to this show that I have been your Attorney General for 15 years. I have fought for you in courts all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court and courts across this country, defending your constitutional rights, defending South Carolina. I have gone after public corruption. I've recovered over $2 billion on behalf of the taxpayers of South Carolina. Because of my efforts in public safety, I've been endorsed by 80% of the Republican sheriffs in the state of South Carolina. I've sued the Biden and Obama administrations hundreds of times to protect and defend your constitutional rights. I've defended parental rights. I've defended the unborn. I've defended the opportunity of parents to be able to control how they raise their children. As governor, I'm going to bring that same fierceness, that same courage to the governor's office. As a 30-year combat veteran who's led soldiers under hostile fire, I know how to fight. I know how to fight for you. I'm asking everyone for their vote. And if you don't vote for me, it can't be because I didn't ask. At the end of the day, Ms. Ann, this is a job interview. And I'm asking people to hire me as their employee to be the trustee of the office of governor. I'd be honored to have your support. I'd be honored to have your vote. And while I don't promise to be a perfect governor, because no one can be perfect, I do promise to be an accountable governor and an accessible governor. So I'd be honored to have your vote on Tuesday, June the 9th, if you haven't already voted.
Thank you very much, Attorney General Alan Wilson. Godspeed for these last few days, Alan. You're going to need it.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Have a great one. Bye-bye. All right. Bye-bye. So that is Alan Wilson. And now I have my final candidate for the job interview right here on WCRS. Let's see. Let's pull up Pam. Pam should be on the line. Let's see if she is. It's a challenge, Ann. It's a challenge. All right.
Like a mechanic.
Do I have the Lieutenant Governor on the line with me this morning, Pamela Evette?
Yes, you do, Ann Eller. I'm sorry I'm a few minutes late, but I was shaking hands.
Shaking hands. Well, how are your hands, Pam? Are they still in good shape? You've been shaking a lot of hands out there.
I have been, but that's what I love to do. I love being out with the people. I love talking. I love carrying our message. And I really love telling everybody that I'm the only Trump-endorsed candidate here in South Carolina.
Well, that's right. I wanted congratulations on receiving President Trump's endorsement. The last time, I think the last time we talked, maybe it was you were in studio and you told me you'd heard of speed dating, but not speed politics. Well, today we're doing speed politics, Pam.
Well, this is true. I've been doing that since Monday when this bus hit the road.
Well, that's right. So you've got a big bus tour going around the state. Do you have any plans to come to Greenwood? I hadn't seen it on the list. Are you coming to Greenwood?
So we start out in Greenville. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm just going wherever the bus takes me.
You're not driving the bus. Is that what you're telling us, Pam?
I'm not driving the bus, but go out to my website. They keep updating it with more stops.
Well, that's great. Well, let's go ahead and start some speed politics this morning, Pam. We've been
Absolutely.
talking for the last 8 years. It's down to the wire. Why? You've served as lieutenant governor for nearly 8 years. Why are you the right person to take the next step and become the governor of South Carolina?
And that's a great question. You know, I'm not a career politician. I'm a business person, and that's why the governor picked me to be at his right hand. When President Trump called me on Friday, he said, "You are the only one that has the background to eliminate state income tax, to get rid of useless regulations, to take care of American business and American employees and American farmers." And he said, "You have my full and total endorsement. Get out there, use it, win this." And I'm telling you, I tell people all the time, I have the resume to do this job. I was a successful CEO in the private sector, and I've been at the right hand of this very popular governor for 8 years. By electing me, you will not skip a beat.
Well, we can't afford to skip a beat, to tell you the truth. That's the truth. So
That's true.
when you are elected governor, what happens on day one of a Pam Evette administration? I'm not talking about all the stuff. I'm talking about day one. What happens?
We roll up our sleeves and we get to eliminating state income tax.
That is the biggest thing for you, is the state income tax?
It's the biggest thing for the people of South Carolina. I've been to all 46 counties. I've talked to, so let me give you these stats, and you can extrapolate that into the amount of people I've touched already. We've had, before this bus tour, we've had 200 meet and greets, meetings, town halls, meeting with people to hear what was important to them. That is what everybody said. They want their money back in their pockets.
Well, then I guess then you're on it. That's good. So, what is the biggest challenge that we aren't talking about in South Carolina? I think sometimes everybody has all the noise and everybody's grabbing all the different topics. What, in your opinion, is the biggest challenge we aren't talking about here in South Carolina?
Republicans banding together and doing what is right, taking the American First agenda and bringing it right here to our state. We have got to come together, because more so now than ever, you see the radical things that the Democrats have been trying to do. I mean, Kamala Harris has been on TV saying she wants to pack the courts. You know, you see Cory Booker out there saying he wants Washington to become a state. He wants Puerto Rico to become a state.
Sure.
As Republicans, we have to come together and we have to do what is right for the conservative voters of South Carolina.
Okay. And you came from the business world before entering politics. What is government doing today that makes it harder for small businesses to start, grow, and succeed?
It's all the government regulations we have. We have over 80,000 regulations on the books right now. And every day we delay business from getting things done, it costs them money. The more roadblocks we put up to start a successful small business, the harder it is for people to actually even start to think about their dreams.
Well, I kind of agree with you there. People today that are starting a business really are struggling a lot. So, as we move forward here, South Carolina continues to grow very rapidly. We see new housing developments, economic projects, data centers, and increasing infrastructure demands. How do we balance growth while protecting the quality of life that attracts people to South Carolina?
We have to be able to do all things, and the one thing we don't have right now is a blueprint. We have to sit down, bring local government to the table, ask people, ask local government, who do you want your neighbors to be? What kind of businesses, what kind of industry do you want in your backyard? and let's work with commerce. Let's work with our local commerce to figure out when a business comes to South Carolina, where should we put it? We have to protect our fertile farmland. We have to identify all of our property that are in land trusts. And then now you start to figure out really a really plan for infrastructure. Because when you're building, right now we're playing defense on everything. When you have a blueprint, you start playing offense. You can take the money and the resources you have and you actually use it to be proactive with infrastructure. You actually create a positive business environment when businesses come here and you know what localities are really want to embrace them. You can actually get things done and you can make businesses that want to come here feel welcome.
You know, there's a big conversation about data centers. In fact, right here in Greenwood, we are trying to come up with some regulations. There's talk of a 2-year moratorium right here in Greenwood. Pam, what do you think about data centers and what should we be doing on a statewide level about them?
I think that becomes part of the blueprint. There are some areas that would welcome data centers. There are some localities that say, no, we don't want them. What I think is that you have to have local buy-in to any kind of industry coming in. And then we have to make sure that no matter what kind of industry comes into South Carolina, they are not adversely impacting the people that are around them. President Trump was very clear. He said if data centers come into any area, they have to bring alternate energy sources so they don't negatively impact the people of those communities. And Ann, when you think about it, there are all different kinds of data centers. I think what we need to be looking at is what can any area that wants them, what can they support? Mega data centers that are going up in Texas be really hard to come into some of our small rural areas. But smaller data centers that don't use water because the new technology is containing it, that will bring their own alternate energy sources, can bring a lot of revenue to a rural area. And those people should have a say in if do they want them to come or do they not?
I think you're right, and that is definitely a question. So as Lieutenant Governor, you've worked with the current administration. What would Governor Pamela Evette administration do differently?
I don't know if it's different. It's just that we're facing new challenges now. You know, when the governor and I took office, we had a big focus on growth. Now we have to focus on energy. We have to look at bringing technology to government so we can work smart, not hard. We have to make sure we have the workforce of tomorrow, and we have to make sure we're attracting the industries that are going to be the big industries of tomorrow.
Absolutely, you're right on that. So just difference as far as different problems that will be facing South Carolina.
Absolutely. You know, as you're successfully growing, there's new challenges every day, every year. We need a governor, and that's what Pamela Evette be as governor, a governor that focuses on the future to make sure that our children and our grandchildren have all the opportunities that we had coming up.
Pam, there ain't no way they can have all the opportunities we had growing up. I'm sorry. We played outside. Come on, Pam.
What do they say? We punted out past our range.
Yeah, exactly. Anywho, moving on. You've spoken publicly about South Carolina State University's decision to remove you as the commencement speaker. Some lawmakers are now proposing that funding for the university project be removed. At what point does accountability become punishment, and where would you draw the line?
What I've said is very clear. It doesn't have to just do with South Carolina State. I think it's any public institution that gets one dime of taxpayer money. If they try to stop conservative speech, then we should take away their state funding, whatever amount of funding that is that goes to them. Because conservatives make up a huge part of this state, and those are their tax dollars. And if their speech isn't welcome on those campuses or in those institutions, then their money's not welcome there either.
So you feel that state funding should state funding ever be used as leverage when public institutions make decisions elected officials disagree with?
No, what I feel is that when you take state taxpayer dollars, you have to have an environment that is open to everybody. And right now, Ann, the only kind of ideas that are not welcome anywhere seems to be conservative ideas.
Okay.
And we have to create an environment where all kinds of thinking is there and debated.
Okay. All right. Well, now on to another question here, because we're on the speed politicking here today with Pamela Evette, Lieutenant Governor in the hunt to be the next governor for the great state of South Carolina. What is one thing voters think they know about Pamela Evette that is wrong? Ha!
Well, I don't know, because people ask me questions about my policy. I know that I have a lot of opponents right now, and it's silly season, so they're throwing all kinds of mud at the wall, kind of silly things. What I tell people is take a look at the negative attacks you're seeing. There is not one thing that they're saying that is true. And come out and meet me, because there's nothing more than I like than to shake somebody's hand, ask them for their vote, and answer any question that they might have for me.
And what is one thing you believe about South Carolina's future that the other candidates in this race have wrong?
So there's a lot of candidates that talk so negatively about this great state that we're in. And they talk about like all the terrible things that are happening. South Carolina is a conservative success story. Look at how much we've grown. Look at how people from all over want to live and make South Carolina their home. South Carolina has a great problem. We have growing pains, and we need a governor who understands what those growing pains are, who are proud of this state, who will push it forward and continue to stand up and fix any challenge that comes in front of them.
Okay, well, Pam, are you getting tired yet, or are you still wound up? I need to know.
You know what, Ann, I'm telling you, I always feel like, can I do this again tomorrow? And then I go into the first event and people are so happy and positive, and it just energizes me for the day. I walked into Zesto's in Columbia. I mean, it is an amazing place. President Trump visited there, and I had the cutest little girl run up and give me the biggest hug. Made my day. All the ladies came up from behind the counter, wanted pictures, said, we're voting for you. We really need you in there as governor. And that's the kind of thing that energizes me for the day.
Yeah. Well, you can, as long as I guess as long as the crowd power, we'll call it the crowd power, is there. But when Pamela Evette sits down at the end of the day, do you fall right asleep, or are you still going, what have I got left to do?
Well, it's a little bit of both. You know, I'm on the bus moving to the next location, so we're closest to where we need to be early in the morning. I try to take care of text messages and emails, and then when my head hits the pillow, I am completely out.
Yeah, I understand that. So in closing, Pam, I want to give you the opportunity to let the voters know why they should choose Pam Evette for governor, where they can learn more about your campaign, and any other notes you'd like to put in here.
Well, first of all, Ann, I want to tell you thank you. It has been amazing to be on your show now for the last 8 years.
Right.
And it's great getting the message out to the people of Greenwood. You have a great community. Now, come to PamelaEvette.com and learn more about me. But when people ask you, why are you voting for Pamela Evette, say because she has the resume to do the job. She was a successful CEO in the private sector, and she has sat at the right hand of the governor for 8 years now. And under Pamela Evette, this state will continue to move and thrive. We're the best state to live, work, and raise your family. But with an Evette administration, our best days are yet ahead of us. Ask yourself one really important question. The person I'm voting for to be governor, would I hire them to be the CEO of my company? And if you can't say yes, remember, you're electing the CEO of this state.
That is very well said, Pam. I would like to say that we like people coming here, but we want control now. We have to have a little control because we don't want to give this great state up to all these foreigners coming in here, do we, Pam?
Well, that's why I've always said, like, we should not allow Chinese companies to own any land here in South Carolina. We don't need big corporations buying up big plots of farmland because we need our farmers. We need our rural areas. President Trump has said it over and over again. Food security is national security, and I will be the governor for everybody. Our big cities, our rural areas, our big businesses, our small businesses, our hospitality and tourism, and our farmers and forestry, because all those things together make South Carolina the state it is.
Absolutely. Pamela Evette, in these last few days, I wish you Godspeed and hope you can hold up for these last 4 days. Thank you so much for coming on with me this morning. I really appreciate it, and good luck, Pam.
And thank you so much, and get everybody out to vote. We can do better than 13%.
We should do better than 13%. That is for sure.
Well, early voting is now. It's till tomorrow, and then if you can't get in or you like to vote on Election Day, show up on Tuesday, bring your ID, and cast your votes.
Absolutely.
For Pamela Evette for governor.
All right, Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette, good luck, Godspeed. Thank you so much for calling in. Keep your heels on and keep on trucking.
Thank you, my friend. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye. That, my friends, was Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette from the great state of South Carolina. Yes, she is the Lieutenant Governor. We've heard from 3 candidates this morning. I hope you have enjoyed being able to compare the differences and the likes and see which candidate, if anything that you learned today, puts you in a different thinking. I predict there probably is going to be a runoff, so we probably will have 2 more weeks of this. I sincerely hope I can hold up. That is for sure. Anyways, this has been a lot of fun here this morning. Penny has, let's see, where's Penny? She is saying, are you ever getting off the air, Ann? Yes, I am getting off the air. Anybody have any questions or comments here this morning? Thank you so much for tuning in. This afternoon, we will be doing what? What will we be doing? We will be at 4 o'clock. We will be doing the interview with. Let me see. Let me get my screen back up here. We will be doing our interview this morning or this afternoon. Well, let me get that out of here. I've got issues going on here. We will be having our festival chairs. Lindsay Turner and Glenda Corley will be joining us this afternoon at 4 o'clock. We'll be doing that at 4 o'clock because at 5 o'clock there is so much going on in Greenwood. We thought it would be a great time to catch it before the end of the day. Hope you'll tune in to that, 4 to 5. Then, as I've said, we have a slew of events in Uptown Greenwood. The museum is having their opening reception for Road to the Revolution right there. They've got a great exhibit. I hope if you can't make it by there today, sometime during the summer, you take your kids and your family and go check that out. That's a great exhibit. I've had the opportunity to preview it. It looks really great. Also, the museum is having the juried art show, the student juried art show. That's having a reception at either 5 or 5:30 today. And then the Beach Blast is with Greenwood Performing Arts, is down there at the market, the Uptown Market. Swinging medallions, Rhonda McDaniel, food trucks, lots of fun is going to be happening down there. So come down there and enjoy it. Tomorrow, more activities are going on. Saturday, too. big weekend right here in Greenwood, your opportunity to get out and see all the good things that Greenwood has right here in Greenwood, South Carolina. All right, Penny, you got anything to say here? Let's see. Penny, you got anything to say? You want to say anything to the folks? Yeah, I'd like to have more breakfast. Yeah, she's so tired here this morning. We didn't do our usual routine, so we've survived, and she's done a great job. That's going to do it for me. This is WCRS Radio, live on Facebook, live on the radio. Let's cue the curtain, cue the curtain, cue the curtain, and let's play the music. And we're going to say bye-bye, everybody. Take it away.